Hey everyone, Dan here with a later than normal review of The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 7, or Chapter 15 if you're playing along at home, The Believer. Now this episode was directed by returning director Rick Famuyiwa. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that name, it's a tough one. But he had done 2 episodes in the previous season, along with the one being called The Prisoner, where we were introduced to Mayfield. Well, we found at the end of last episode that Mando felt he needed Mayfield to get Baby Yoda back, or Grogu, I should start using that name. And it turns out the reason he needed him is because Mayfield is a former Imperial sharpshooter who would have access to, or the access codes and stuff needed to find out where Moff Gideon's ship is and where Grogu is. So Mando goes to Cara Dune, of course, and I figured it was going to be a prison break episode. I think a lot of people expected that. Well, it turns out, nope, no prison break. He is working in the chop yard on one of the planets, and Cara just shows up and goes, okay, I'm taking him. Turns out she, being a marshal of the New Republic, has its benefits. So she just takes him, and he's walking back to the ship with her, and he's complaining because that's Bill Burr and his, Bostonian accent. It's sad if we get to tell me where you take me, That's totally not a Boston accent, anyway. And he first sees Boba Fett, and we get to see Boba Fett for the first time in this episode, and he's gotten a paint job. His armor is redone in a beautiful matte finish. It's a lovely paint job, so expect new toys coming out about him immediately. Well, he goes, oh, I thought you were another guy, and then he steps aside, and Mando comes walking down, and you just see just all the color drain from Burr's face, like, oh my god, I'm going to die. And Mando tells him what he needs, and he comes along for the ride, basically, to get out. Now, he has to be convinced, and what convinces him is Cara Dune looks at him and goes, he's lost his kid. And he's like, what, the little green guy? He's like, yeah, oh, okay. And that's what got him into it, which I thought was pretty cool, because he didn't do anything bad to Grogu when he was around him before, but it's neat to see that people are like, oh, you lost your kid. Well, okay, I'm in. Just like Cara was in the last episode. So they have to get this information, they have to go to an internal terminal. And one of the locations they could do that is the planet of Morak, where there is a mining colony setup. So they head over there in Slave 1. And it's neat for Slave 1 because we get to see the inside of it as it turns. Because Slave 1's always been an interesting ship where it lands flat, lifts up, and then runs perpendicular or upright, horizontal, vertical. Yeah, I'm just making words up now. Anyway, runs vertical through the space. Well, we got to see the inside as they stayed still as the entire ship turned around them. That was really neat. And something a lot of fans have wanted to see for a lot of years. So they go to this planet of Morak, and they have to get inside. Now, they've tried to figure out if they're going to sneak into this base. The problem is they do facial scans, and if anybody who is in the base is being connected to the rebellion or to the New Republic would be caught. Well, that takes out Cara Dune because she's a marshal of the New Republic now. Turns out it takes out Fennec Shand because she's wanted by the Imperials for something she did, which I think we'll find out in the newly announced The Bad Batch series. And it takes out Boba Fett because he's got the same face as every clone trooper. So that leaves Burr and Mando. And Mando won't take his helmet off, and he can't show up in the middle in a Beskar armor. Well, it turns out he can just switch to a tank trooper armor. And that's what they end up doing. They drop in on a Juggernaut tank that's carrying Rhodonium, I think it is. It's a chemical they used for fuel. Highly explosive. It showed up a lot in Rebels and the Clone Wars. And they drop in and they knock the 2 guards out and they switch into their uniforms. So Burr and Mando, Din Djarin, hop into the tank, the Juggernaut, and are driving it. Well, the problem is that you have to... Rhodonium is very unstable and you have to keep driving slow. Well, these guys show up and they start blowing up the Juggernauts. They blow up the 2 in front of them, and now they're coming after the one Mayfield and Djarin are in, and Din Djarin looks out and he assumes they're pirates. And a lot of people have been talking about, oh, they're not pirates. Well, he only called them pirates when he thought that they were pirates. But it turns out they were trying to blow up the Redonium because they're separatists or, rebels or whatever you want to call them. So they were trying to stop the Empire. Anyway, well, now we get to see Mando gets on top and has a fight with these guys because they're literally taking thermal detonators and trying to blow up the Juggernaut that they're in. And as much as maybe you want to support these guys, they're trying to kill you. So Mayfield keeps driving, and he's having a hard time with that. And Mando is up there fighting, and he doesn't have his armor. He has Stormtrooper armor, which sucks. So he gets hit, and it just shatters under the blow, and he's trying to defend himself, and all this. But it's this great action scene. You got all these guys coming up on these flying skiffs, jumping onto the ship, or onto the Juggernaut, and he's having to fight them off. And he's just going after wave after wave. It's almost like a video game of how many he has to go through. And at some point he has to pick up pole arms and stuff, fighting. So you get the idea, he's going to be just fine with that Beskar spear when he needs it later. But as he's fighting them off, it looks like he's about to get overwhelmed. And suddenly TIE fighters fly in and start shooting up the bad guys. And they get closer to the base, and stormtroopers and shore troopers run out and they start shooting at him. And for once in the entire Star Wars saga, stormtroopers can hit things. They're actually shooting the separatists. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen, a stormtrooper that could shoot. Anyway, so they get inside, and they're hailed as conquering heroes, basically, because they got through where the other juggernauts didn't. And they're getting applauded and saluted, and Mayfield's already taken off his helmet, but, Mando's got his on. He's not taking it off. And what's interesting is there's a whole scene where Mayfield and Mando are talking. This is one of the two best scenes in the entire thing, is Mayfield is like, look, I get that you have your beliefs, and everybody has their beliefs, but their beliefs go out the window when things get messy. He says, it doesn't matter if you're from Alderaan or Mandalore, you grow up with what you believe, but when things get bad, you do what you have to do so you can sleep at night. He says, and just keep in mind that both Mandalore and Alderaan are gone now. So it's kind of an interesting point, and it was really interesting to see Mayfield's point of view, because it ends up being huge later on. Well, they get inside, and they're all like slaps in the back and stuff, and they find the terminal, and it's inside the officer's mess. Well, as they're approaching, you have to get the facial scan, and Mayfield looks in, and he sees his old commanding officer. Now, he's basically AWOL from the Imperials, or the Empire, so he's worried if the guy could see him, if he's going to see him. He's not sure, but he's like, I can't do it. You can blow the whole thing. And Mando's like, well, give me the reader and I'll do it. He's like, but, you got to take your helmet off. Let's just get out of here. He's like, I'll do it. Well, Din goes over and starts doing it. And when it asks, he finally ends up having to take his helmet off. And this is a huge thing in the series because he removed his helmet because he wants to get Grogu back. So as much as it's against the way he was raised, he found something that was more important to him than his beliefs, and that is his feelings for Grogu. That's a huge thing in this season, or this series, because it's totally shown the arc of the character. Well, he gets the information he needs, and he's about to get out of there, and Mayfield's old commanding officer comes up and starts talking to him and asks for his TK number. And Din has no idea what a TK number is. Well, Mayfield, I guess, realizes that what Mando has sacrificed, or Din has sacrificed going and taking his helmet off, he rushes in and tries to cover for him, giving his TK number and giving Din a TK number, and talks about how you got to speak up to him because he lost his hearing over in a battle, or lost pressure in a battle in Tanab, and that's another famous Star Wars battle. That's where Lando did some maneuver that got him to the rebellion to make him a general, if you remember in Return of the Jedi. Well, he tries to get out of there by saying, come on, we got to go do our TPS reports, which, for people who catch it, is a nod to the movie Office Space, the TPS reports. But they try to get out of there, and this commander, Velen Hess, says, no, I didn't dismiss you. You two are the only two that are able to get through the separatists, and let's have a drink. And he takes them over the table, and he's trying, because he's looking to these two like the only ones worth a damn in the whole base. And he's trying to, talk to Din and get some information out of him, because Din looks so uncomfortable. He's like, I'm here, I've got my helmet off, I'm feeling really bad, and every time he gets stuck, Mayfield jumps in. Well, and then when he's talking, well, where are you from, Brown Eyes? He tells him, Mayfield tells him his name is Brown Eyes, because that's, they're not even sure what his name is anymore, they just call him Brown Eyes. But when he tries to get more information out of Din, Mayfield goes, let's have a toast to Operation Cinder, which is a huge event from the Battlefield games and in the lore or Legends history, which was Palpatine's fallback plan. Basically, if he dies, then he wants most of the Empire to go with him, basically. So these giant satellites would wipe out these Imperial planets, or Imperial loyal planets, and it turns out that Mayfield worked or was under Hess at the Burning Khan, which is one of the planets that Operation Cinder was to destroy, and most of his troop got wiped out by this action. And you can see as they're talking that Mayfield is really affected by this, and Hess thinks that it's just what they do, and the Empire is going to rebuild, and with this Redonium that they got, it's going to be able to do more things even worse than Operation Cinder. And this is just one amazing scene, because you're hearing this, Richard Brake plays Hess, and he's brilliant. I mean, he's got the southern drawl, which is odd for Imperial. Normally they have British accents, so it was really interesting to hear him and Bill Burr from Boston having this conversation in the middle of a Star Wars movie. But it's a really good scene to see the counterpoint, and you're watching Mayfield suddenly pick a side, where he'd been like, look, I'm not in this, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do so I can go to sleep at night. Suddenly he sees, no, that's evil, that's bad. And when he raises his when Hess raises his glass, goes to the Empire, Din looks over at him and just kind of goes, don't do it. And Mayfield does it anyway. He pulls the blaster and just kills the guy. And then they look at each other, and this shocked look on Din's face, like, what did you do? And then there's a shore trooper standing there with a tray full of food, and he pauses, and Mayfield finally turns and shoots him, and then they're having to shoot their way out of it. They end up going out of a window, and as they're climbing along trying to get to the roof where Boba Fett's going to pick them up, Fennec Shand and Cara Dune are on a hilltop sniping anybody that comes out of the window after them. It's just a great scene, and they scramble up to the top, and Slave One comes in, and all these guys are getting blown away by the snipers. They leap in the back of Slave One, they're about to take off, and Mayfield grabs the long rifle, the Sandman, the Tusken Raider long rifle that Boba Fett has. I don't remember the name of it, but and he lines up the shot and blows up the Juggernaut with the Redonium in it, and it just explodes, and he's like taking out the Empire's next plan, basically. Well, Shan and Dune look at that and like, that's a hell of a shot. So when they all get back to, and then Slave One takes off, and two stormtrooper or TIE fighters come after him, and he drops a sonic bomb. I know that's not the type, there's another term for it, but again, like he did in what Jango Fett dropped in Attack of the Clones. and you see it just go off, and it's that beautiful silence, and then and the big wave of energy, and it takes out the two TIE fighters. And I think anybody who's a fan of the Slave One and Boba Fett and all that just had the happiest day of their life right there. It is one of the best sounds in Star Wars. But they meet up afterwards, and Cara looks at Din and goes, you know, it's a shame that Mayfield died in that explosion. And he's like, yeah, it is. And Mayfield's like, wait, what? I can leave? I can go? I'm gonna go. And he walks off slowly, kind of cautiously, and they just ignore him and let him go. So instead of taking him back to prison, they let him go because of his help and I guess the shot to show that he really wasn't an Imperial anymore. So we're thinking, okay, it's the end of the episode, right? They got the information they need to go find Moff Gideon. Well, nope, a little bit more of the episode left. What you next see is on Gideon's cruiser, the communication officer comes in and goes, you need to see this. And she pulls up the hologram message, and it's Din back in the full Mando armor. And he basically repeats the same words that Gideon used in episode 7 of season 1, talking about how you have something that belongs to me. You may think you know what you have, but trust me, you don't. It will soon be back with me, or he will soon be back with me, because you have no idea how much he means to me. And you just look this on the face of Gideon, and he's like, uh-oh, what have I done? I mean, it's obvious that this is almost a Liam Neeson from Taken thing. You know, I have a particular set of skills, and it's just a really great ending. The episode is really strong. You come out of it, I think a lot of people come out of it having really grown to like Miggs Mayfield, which is amazing because I don't think anybody was looking forward to his return. Now you're like happy that he got to go and look forward to maybe him coming back. Maybe he'll be in one of the new series. It's a really good performance, and it was a really good episode. But it wasn't a two-parter like we got last season. We really don't know what the next episode's going to be. Is he going to, they're not taking Mayfield with them to get the baby or to get Grogu. So we really don't know what the next episode's going to be. It's a complete mystery going in. We don't know who's directing it, who's writing it. My guess is it's going to be Favreau, that he's going to write and direct the episode, but wasn't the season finale done by Taika Waititi last time? So who knows? It could be anybody. But yeah, so we're going to get our finale on Thursday night. I can't wait to see it. I am so excited. And I should do something for the Investor Day coverage, but we're going to get the Ahsoka Tano series and Rangers of the New Republic that are both going to be set in the same time as the Mandalorian series, and they're going to be interconnected. So like in the Arrowverse, where you could have the big crossover events, we could have that with these episodes, and they're going to be Filoni and Favreau's toys to play with. So this should be amazing. And I think with that, and the Lando series, and the Kenobi series, and the Acolyte, and all the amazing stuff coming up on the Rogue Squadron movie, we're going to get so much great Star Wars going forward. So there's so much to look forward to as a fan. Which is amazing, because I'll tell you the truth, until The Mandalorian came out, I was done with Star Wars. The last 3 movies did it for me, and I was pretty much out. I was tapping out, and I am completely back now. So I am 100% back into the Star Wars love. And now Star Wars and Marvel are right there for me, and even DC too. But, my Star Wars love is strong again. So looking forward to the season finale. I will be back hopefully a little sooner next week. I apologize. I still need to edit this thing, and I got a whole new editing software. So hopefully I can get this up by sometime Tuesday, but before at least before Thursday. So thank you all for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you can. I'd appreciate it, and you'll get notification of anything else I'm doing. And I hope you all have a great week, all right? Take care. This is the way.